Let's make some noise. Come on.
Right indeed, Nick Foles, you are. Let's make some noise. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the final word, the final word on the Instagram Sports Network with your boy MattyB on the call on this lovely Monday night, Columbus Day. Hope you guys had a great holiday. A lot of you had off today. I hope you enjoyed it. Kind of a stress-free sports day, maybe, as we'll kind of unpeel some layers tonight. But it's good to be back on the Monday night and our second episode of our broadcast week, a rarity here on the final word. I'm actually going to do 5 shows this week. So we're straight forward into day 2 or show 2 of the week. So that's great. It's great news. And I'm glad to be here as definitely the weather outside has begun to tip more to that fall-like weather that we've been waiting for. And yes, summer is officially over, man. Good God. I hate that. But that's okay because you shut the door, you got to open another one. And we are 3 games now into the Flyers season. Big win tonight by the Flyers at home against the Florida Panthers. A character win, one of them gutsy type wins against the 2-time defending Stanley Cup champions. Trevor Zegras showcasing some of that skill that made him at one point a top 10 draft prospect in all of the hockey world, as he helped the Flyers with the game winner. I guess that was the game winner, right? Yeah, that was the game winner. We're going to break that goal down because that deserves to be broken down. That goal deserves to be talked about, shown up on the big screen in slow-mo, and given the old MattyB seal of approval, because that was a thing of beauty, that assist on the Sean Couturier goal tonight. So Flyers are on the table. We're going to debut a new segment on the program this evening. It's postseason time for the Phillies, at least, or I should say, I keep on saying postseason. It's off-season time for the Phillies, and we're going to debut the Phillies off-season, who stays and who goes and why. And it was going to be the manager. That's right. Rob Thompson was first in the shoot tonight of why he should stay or why he should go and why. But the news floating around is that the Phillies are going to retain Rob Thompson in 2026. It has not been officially announced by the ball club, but the rumor is that the Phillies will hold a press conference on Thursday. I guess that's the one I've been waiting to hear from. It's the end of season. We're going to try to justify all that went wrong and also try to justify why bringing back Rob Thompson is the right move here. So we're still going to go ahead with it, though. We're still going to go on with the offseason. Should he stay? Should he go? Why with Rob Thompson? Because I'm not sold on it. And even though it might be a moot point because it seems like the Phillies are keeping him, we're still going to go through it. And we will talk about the reality, of course, if he does stay, what that means for the Phillies' offseason plans, how that might affect what they do this offseason. So kind of a last-minute news story that floated through this afternoon. We're going to break down a little bit as well. And the Eagles, well, tomorrow, well, no, I guess not tomorrow, but Wednesday they'll officially get started for Minnesota. But today they were back in the building for treatment and film breakdown and all the things you do on a Monday. So they're going to get ramped up for the big pivotal Week 7 matchup, or Week 7 matchup against the Vikings and Carson Wentz. And how important is this game? How important is this game against the Vikings? The Eagles cannot lose this game, right? They cannot lose this game because it would cause implosion of every homer that waves a green rally towel. And I'm going to give you reasons why they may win or they may lose. I don't know reasons why they would win, but we'll start breaking down the Eagles game a little bit. Not too much, but a little bit. Our Day in Philadelphia Sports History, our Of the Night segment, the offseason segment, and the card review are all also on the table tonight. And let's roll here on the program on this lovely, lovely Monday night. Hey, everybody. Joe, what's going on? Are the phone lines open tonight? Joe, they will be. But let me get a little traction underneath me here for the show tonight. Then we'll open up the lines as soon as we throw out some juicy tidbits. So let's strap in, strap on, strap up. Put your head, hands, and feet inside the car at all times. And let's get rolling here tonight on your Day in Philadelphia Sports History. Back in 1993, magical year that was. So we're talking October and we're talking 1993. What could we be talking about? The high point of the Phillies' worst to first turnaround season came on this day. The high point, the top of the heap, the best part of that 93 season happened on this day back in 93. Comprised of a lovable group of mostly cast-off and zany characters. They capped their 97-win season with an unlikely Game 6 NLCS clinching win over the Atlanta Braves 6-3 in a game at Veterans Stadium where I guarantee you nobody sat down. Remember watching that game? It was a electric environment. Kurt Schilling won the NLCS MVP award with a 1.69 ERA in 2 starts, leading the Phils to just their 5th World Series appearance in over 100 years. And we're not going to talk about what happened in the World Series. We all remember that. But let's just revel in the fact that, at least back in 1993, this day was a day of joy in Phillies Nation as the Phillies advanced to the World Series by defeating the Braves in the NLCS in a pivotal Game 6 or a clinching Game 6 at the Vet. The series was really won in Game 5 in the top of the 10th inning. Lenny Dykstra with the home run to give the Phillies the 1-run lead in the 10th. Then they went on to hold on to that lead. I think it was 6-5 was the final of that game. That, to me, was when the series was actually won. Game 6 was a formality because you could see every bit of momentum, every bit of confidence that the Braves had in beating the Phillies left them in Game 5. And they went home and they finished the business off in Game 6, thus clinching their NL title, moving on to the World Series against the Blue Jays. And again, we're not going to sit here and belabor the point of what occurred in the World Series because it was obviously memorable all for the wrong reasons. So there you go. Happy 1993 NL Championship Day for the Philadelphia Phillies on this day back in 93. So there's your day in Philadelphia sports history, brought to you by the fine folks here at the It's a Wrap Sports Networks, creators of all these programs. And here's our schedule for the week. We are one day in. You had the attacking third this morning. For those of you that like to have some soccer with your breakfast, then you got Flyers, Panthers clear the ice with Pat, just wrapped up a few minutes ago. And now you're going to wrap it all up with me on the final word. Tomorrow, just me on the final word, just me. And then on Thursday, tomorrow's Tuesday. Man, I've been having trouble with the calendar and days of the week lately. I don't know what's going on, man. I hope I'm not starting to slip. Wednesday, you got the Prop Locks and Parlay program, Pittsburgh Sports Desk, and me. Thursday, you got everything that's happening. Little Birds blasting, little Gridiron Weekly, the Flyers, Jets clear the ice, and me. And then the wraparound on Friday, attacking third, Penn State versus Iowa, Happy Valley Huddle, and Flyers Wild clear the ice on Saturday night, which will be with me. A lot of me, as I usually do these things. So let's get it going. Let's talk. I guess we can sort of freshen our minds. Let's get Flyers out of the way. Flyers with the 5-2 win tonight. Now pulled completely even with their season 1-1-1. Rick Tocchet's first win as a Flyers head coach in a very spirited game down at it's not Wells Fargo. What is it now? The Xfinity T-Mobile Center, whatever the hell it's called. The X Center. We call it that. What's the abbreviation for the new name of the Flyers arena? Is it the X Center, the X Plus Center, the Mobile Center? What is it? I'm going to call it the X Center so somebody corrects me. So Flyers win tonight 5-2. But the highlight of the game, we can talk a little bit about Dan Vladar. You can talk about that. Yeah, decent effort tonight by the goaltender. I'm not getting fooled by it. One, there's a couple reasons why I'm not fooled by Dan Vladar. It's not part of the future. He's just here for what he's here for. The second reason is the Flyers have now given up through 3 games 99 shots. 99 through 3 games. That's an average of 33 shots a game. They are allowing 33 shots a game. You could have Dominik Hasek back there. No one's going to last with that 33 shot pace a game number. That's just not going to happen. They're going to get worn the hell out. And certainly Sam Ersson and Dan Vladar are not going to weather that storm, much longer. Is it good to see? Yes. Is it great to see? Yes. Is there some goals that are frustrating? The second goal he gave up tonight where he was completely faked out, committed, went down to the ground, lost his footing, and then was completely out of position for a wraparound goal. That was a little frustrating. But he played well. I'm not going to sit here and say he didn't play well. But he's giving you, it's not playoff worthy. It's definitely not Stanley Cup championship worthy goaltending. And for his defense, the Flyers' defense stinks. All right, 33 shots a game. The Flyers are allowing 33 shots a game through 3 games. You're not going to be able to keep up that pace. I don't care who you got back there, but it's a good early season story. Now, can Tocchet continue to keep them fresh? And how long really, as we cycle through these goalies throughout the season, do we not get an opportunity to see Alexei Kovasov sometime again, who's down there in Lehigh? And more importantly, at what point do we get a chance to look at Carson Bjornsson, our second-round draft pick from a few years back, who is the next in line to become the new franchise goalie? He's doing his first year down with the Phantoms. He was taken in the second round it was the same year they took Gauthier, whatever draft, 22, 23, whatever draft that was. Arrived last spring, got some time with the Phantoms in the playoffs, and I believe now is splitting time with Kovasov down in Lehigh Valley, or up in Lehigh Valley. So at what point do we get an opportunity to see him? So, but Vladar right now and Urson right now, is it better than it's been? Is it better than Urson, Fedotov, Kovasov? Maybe, sure. Does Vladar at least look like he's competent? Yeah, I'll give you that, 100%. But 33 shots a game, which are not the goaltender's fault, but not a good number to live with. Joe Hale says it's called the Xfinity Mobile Arena. Okay, so what are we calling it? The X Arena? The Mobile Arena? Is there a shortened version of it? What's going on, Ricky? How you been? Go Flyers, indeedy. But look, back to the Flyers, 5-2 winners tonight. Of course, the moment of the game that everybody was just truly amazing, and I got to give credit where it's due. In the third period, tied at 2-2 with about 4 minutes to go in the game, the Flyers had an opportunity deep in the Panther offensive zone, and Trevor Zegras pulled off an amazing let's face it, it's a play that you can't coach, you can't teach it. This is a hockey play made by a hockey player. He kind of avoids a double check from, what was it, Bennett and Ekblad back there that was chasing him down. Passes the puck before he's hit. So he passes it to get away from the two defenders or the two Panthers. Then he ducks out of the way of the hit, rebounds his own, basically passes it to himself as he squirts out the other side, and then sends it across the ice to a wide open Sean Couturier, while everybody else on the ice was looking behind the net thinking, what the hell did I just see? And Couturier ends up burying the sort of the empty netter to give the Flyers it was the eventual, it was the game winner. But let's bring it up because it definitely is a pretty goal that I want to look at and I want to break down with you guys because it's just that pretty. And here we go. So let's pick it up from the faceoff dot. The Flyers have won the faceoff. Everyone's sort of kind of starting to move into the positions that they're going to be in. There's Zegras there on the corner of the net, and there's Ekblad with him. Bennett's up here with Couturier as they're just coming off the faceoff. Let's roll it. There goes the puck back behind the net. There goes Zegras. Couturier was knocked down, so he's sort of like out of the play. And then let's kind of stop it here. As you can see, first of all, here's the thing about hockey, and which I love about this game. Even at the highest level, even at this level of play, which is the NHL, which is the highest level you can go, there's still a lot of fundamental problems made. When you're coming up through the hockey ranks as a player and you're also as a coach, one of the things they teach you, especially from the defensive side standpoint. Now, right here, was it Bennett? Bennett's a centerman. Anything behind the net would be Bennett's play. Ekblad should not be going behind the net. And you certainly shouldn't have two players behind the net trying to come up with one puck, because then you've obviously left somebody open. Somebody's open in the front of the net. If somebody's open, doesn't have a guy, you've shorthanded yourselves. You never go behind the net because you're always taught what can happen with the puck when it's behind the net. Nothing. They can't score from back there unless you got a Michigan guy, but 99.9% of the time, the puck behind the net it's behind the net. I'd rather just be out front, make sure they can't complete the pass. But hey, the Panthers converge on Zegras, and if they didn't, we wouldn't have this. There you go. So Zegras' head is up. Listen, he's already got this play figured out in his mind. He already knows what's about to happen. As you can see, he kind of made a little move, a little forehand move. That's the move to pass the puck. He's already preparing himself for what's happening. Look at his head's up. He sees everything that's happening. He sees this thing probably as slow as I'm showing it right now, even though in real life it was happening at about 35 miles an hour. Zegras is seeing it slow down like this. And he's already concocted the play. He's going to pass the puck to himself or away from himself as he prepares to be hit. And the puck is now in between these two guys. Then as the body check is about to be laid, he squirts out from underneath the hit. He ducks down, and he comes across the boards here, squirts out of there. The puck is then to himself, and then backhanded from behind the net across the ice to this guy here, which is Sean Couturier. Look at everybody. Everybody in this play is fixated on what's happening behind the net. Rightfully so. What the hell just happened? How could he escape that? There's no reason. There's no way this play is not stopped behind the net. But no. Trevor Zegras, in the wherewithal of a hockey player, has already passed the puck out of danger, eluded a double check, regained possession of the puck, and then blindly thrown a backhand cross-ice pass from behind the net to a one-time. Look at Couturier. He's already setting up for the shot. I don't know if he's actually setting up for a shot or he's just kind of hanging up. I mean, if this is a play they've worked on, which I doubt, which it's not, I give a lot of credit to the Flyers coaching staff. But Couturier is looking like he's prepping himself for a one-timer. The puck's going to go whipping across. Couturier then sees the puck. It's obviously he wasn't preparing for a one-timer because he's going to possess it. Everybody is slow to react to what's happening. Zegras sees it. Was that Forrester down there sees it? But puck is going to come back to Couturier, who does one-time it and buries it short side. Just an absolutely amazing goal. And it's a shame you can't give more points to Trevor Zegras than just the assist. But amazing. Definitely early season assist of the year candidate in the National Hockey League from Trevor Zegras. As he just look at this. I mean, we're going to watch it again. Just absolutely amazing. Passes the puck because he sees what's going to happen. He already knows what he wants to do. Now he's got to get rid of the puck so he can avoid the check. He does both of those things, squirts back out, reacquires. Again, this is a fundamentally wrong problem. I don't know, Ekblad and Bennett are hugging each other. It's a fundamentally bad play by the Panthers, and the Flyers took full advantage of it as Zegras just makes it a phenomenal play. Just an amazing goal. Amazing goal. And that, of course, was the game winner as the Flyers went on to win 5-2. So applause, golf clap, whatever you want to Trevor Zegras for that play. And just an absolutely amazing assist. Amazing assist. And again, I wish you could give more than just 1 point for an assist like that. But the Flyers go on to win 5-3. And now we'll wait on Thursday until the who's coming to town? Winnipeg. Winnipeg's on the way. And then on Saturday, the Minnesota Wild are here. So fun game to watch tonight. And it's good to see the new player in Zegras making his presence felt early in the season. Now, he's played well for the first 3 games. Sean Couturier, 2-goal night. He's played well to start the season as well. So all positive signs for the Flyers through 3 games of this season. So 1-1-1 now. And congratulations to Rick Tocchet on his first win as Flyers head coach. So there you go. That's my Flyers point until we get to the other night segment. So we're gonna put the Flyers to bed, and we're gonna move on to the Philadelphia Fighting Phillies, into our brand new segment on the program, Phillies offseason, who stays and goes and why. Again, the Phillies kind of stole my thunder a little bit as the news out of South Philadelphia today, unconfirmed by the team. But the news floating around is that the Phillies have decided to stick with Rob Thompson for 2026. And the first question to the assembled public out there I want to ask, well, 1, do you agree with it? And 1B, what does this mean for the Phillies offseason? So over the course of the next few months, we're going to spend a lot of time on this show, and I'm certain on a lot of other shows, dissecting what the Philly offseason should look like. Now, one of the things that I think all can agree upon is that whatever this is, and what I mean by this, the Phillies just ain't doing it. Just not doing it. They're a hell of a regular season team when you have 162 games to play around with, but when it comes to crunch time, when it comes to a 5-game, 3-game, or 7-game series, this just ain't happening. Now, whether you're blaming that on the manager, and the way he employs his players. You want to blame Dave Dombrowski for the way he assembles the team, or you want to blame the players in their inability to perform and execute. Whatever it is, it just ain't happening. And with the Phillies' unconfirmed decision to stay with Rob Thompson, are they telling us that it's not him? Is Dave Dombrowski admitting and John Middleton admitting to the Phillies fan base that it's not Rob? It's what we've done, right? Because it only leaves now two options. It's the way the team was constructed, or it's the players themselves, which I guess kind of goes back to the way the team was constructed. So there was a couple of fundamental issues throughout that Dodger series that we touched on last night. Of course, the Kirkering brain cramp of throwing the ball to home when you shouldn't have done that. And then the Nick Castellanos play at second base where he misread the bunt and ill-advised went to third and got thrown out. That's coaching, man. I'm sorry. That's coaching. And I know with Rob Thompson staying, that means his staff is staying too, I would imagine. I can't, there might be some tweaks there with the staff, but it means he's bringing back his people. And what message is that saying to the Phillies fans? That, okay, we're not blaming Rob Thompson for this, right? That the problem doesn't nest with Rob Thompson, that maybe it nests with the way the team's constructed, or whether the players are the same, or it was the players. That's the question that I think we've got to first kind of wrap our heads around. After the segment, I will open the phone lines after the Philly segment. So are we blaming Rob Thompson? Are we not blaming Rob Thompson? Are we blaming the players? Are we blaming Dave Dombrowski? Who exactly are we blaming for this mess? Because it is a mess. I don't think, and I'm scared and I'm concerned that the Philly management team, even maybe behind closed doors, might be admitting that it's a mess, that they're not going to admit to the general public, the people that pay the money, the people that buy the stuff, the people that live and die with this thing every day and every season. They're going to tell them that it's not a mess. And we deserve better than that. We deserve better from the Phillies front office to be told what exactly is the problem. And I fear that this decision to bring Rob Thompson is the first step in potentially deciding to run this thing back one more year. And what I mean by running it back, now, when you talk about the three major free agents, Suarez, Schwarber, and JT, some decisions will have to be made about the money there. But as far as not getting rid of Castellanos, not getting rid of Bohm, not getting rid of Stott, that's the concern that I have, that this is where we're headed. And I think we deserve more than that as a Phillies fan base. We deserve swift change. Now, the window of winning, I think, is open. The window of winning is still open. There's still a chance. And there's, I guess, a couple of different schools of thought here, because the contracts of some of these players are not necessarily movable. Trey, Bryce, they have contracts. Aaron Nola, Zach Wheeler, they have contracts that nobody's taking off our hands. I understand that. The return value on a Bowman, a Stott, and a Castellanos is not going to be equal value. You're going to get hosed on it. But if teams take some money off our hands, maybe that's in equal value. So I understand that maybe change may not come in the way that we all think it should come, and the way it looks like it could come, with vast trading of players and saying goodbye to certain players and cutting certain players, because you may have to cut an Alec Bohm. I don't know if you'll be able to move off of him. You may have to cut a Bryson Stott, or you may have to cut a Castellanos. And I'm afraid that the signing or the decision today, though unconfirmed and not official yet, to retain Rob Thompson, means that the Phillies front office is going to try to smoke and mirror us into believing that we can run this back one more time with, again, just little tweaks here and there. And I think we're beyond that point. We're beyond that method and that technique. As far as Rob Thompson goes, I mean, we're gonna break it down here in a second, of the managers that are available that could potentially come in here and be a little bit different, and of course Rob Thompson himself. But I'm more concerned about what the resignating effect of deciding to bring Rob Thompson back means for this team, because change needs to come. A DNA change of this baseball team needs to happen. And you can change the team's DNA by getting rid of a few players. You don't got to burn it down. There's about 4 players that if you got rid of and you brought in 4 different types of players, and as we pull through each position in this segment throughout the week or so, I'll discuss the players who I want to be put in those positions. And then at the very end, I'm going to reveal to you MattyB's 2026 Phillies starting lineup and all the positions, starting rotation, and the bullpen. I have it already done. It's already been completed by me. I already know who I want here next year. And I think though it's a little bit of a radical method, I'm throwing the dice myself a little bit. I think the changes that I have made to this team change the DNA. So Rob Thompson is first in the shoot tonight. Papernick, what's going on? Phillies management should be ashamed of themselves bringing back Thompson and not even talking to a real manager who is available in Bruce Bochy. Papernick, I agree. And as I said earlier, this decision here to bring back Thompson, is this decision a signal by the front office to the fans that we're running it back again? Because it kind of seems that way to me. And I know they're going to try to like downplay that. Dombrowski's going to say the same thing he does in every one of these meetings or conferences. Oh, we're open to change. We realize things have to be a little different, but they never do. Max Kepler was the biggest offensive upgrade they made last year. That's not significant change. We can't have another just Max Kepler all season. No. Now, there's some internal pieces that could come into the play for this team that are already here down there in the minors. Justin Crawford, Aiden Miller, Andrew Painter. There's a few names out there that might make a push. But there's some other positions that need to be upgraded by the current residents that occupy them. And I'm afraid that Rob Thompson's decision or the management's decision is to keep him here is going to derail that, and we're going to run this damn thing back again. Again, another wasted 6 months of my life. So, Papernick, you got a point, man. And let's go into this. So let's bring Rob up. There's Rob. Let's push him up there onto the front of the screen. Rob Thompson, 346 and 251 currently as a manager, all here with the Phillies. 21-17 in the postseason. Some of his accolades are his World Series appearance in 2022. 2023, he lost the NLCS. 2024, he lost the NLDS. 2025, he also lost the NLDS. And he's a 2-time NL East champion manager. Now, and of course, he's the poster boy of what this era has meant to Phillies baseball. So what are some of the other candidates that I see floating around? Where I've picked 3. I've picked 3 managers who I would love to see given an opportunity here in Philadelphia. I am going to show you them in descending order, 3, 2, 1. So I'm going to show you my third choice, my second choice, and my number 1, who I think if the Phillies, if this is just smoke and mirrors and he's really not being retained, which I doubt I definitely think he's coming back now that all this news and all these reputable outlets are reporting it. This is a mute exercise, but we're going to do it anyway because I prepared it all. I didn't think they would make the decision right quite yet. Thought they would give me at least one more day on this, but I have chosen 3 managers, my top 3 of who I'd like to see manage the Phillies in 2026 other than Rob Thompson. And let's go with manager candidate number 3, and that's Dusty Baker, man. A career 21-83 and 1.862 record in the regular season. Postseason record 57-31. He was, of course, the manager of the world champion Houston Astros in 2022. One NL Manager of the Year honors in 93, 97, and 2000. Of course, had a former playing career mainly with the Dodgers back in the 80s. His son, I believe, is in Major League Baseball now with some organization. Dusty is the guy because the manager that I want to see the new manager, you're going to see a common thread between all three of these guys. A little bit of an old school pedigree, who's proven that he can also win in the new school, right? He can manage new school players by his 2022 World Series championship with the Astros. But he has a old school approach. He was raised in the old school baseball world. And, of course, that's the kind of manager, regardless of who they bring back, I think the Phillies need. I don't think the Phillies need a friend anymore up there. They need a father figure. They need a disciplinarian. They need a boss. And, that's one of the reasons why I don't want Rob Thompson here. But Dusty Baker fits that mold, and he's got the pedigree, and he's got the championship managing ability. Again, look at all those NL Manager of the Year awards that he got. And because he chomps on that toothpick all game long, he's just a man's man. And Dusty Baker would be my number 3 choice to replace Rob Thompson. My number 2 candidate, again, as a common thread, baby, Donnie Baseball. Don Mattingly currently is the bench coach for the Toronto Blue Jays with a career 889 win, 950 loss regular season managerial record, and a postseason 10-14. Was the 2020 NL Manager of the Year. And, of course, his son Preston is the acting GM of the Phillies as Sam Feud is going off to get his MBA at the University of Pennsylvania. Again, old school baseball guy that has proven to have success in the new school. And Mattingly's got a temper. I like those kinds of guys. I don't want a friend anymore. I don't want a friend of the umpires. I don't want a friend of the players. I don't want a friend to the media, the fans, nobody. I want a freaking manager, man. And Donnie Baseball is that guy. I've always envied Don as a player. Of course, growing up as a young man, I guess Don Mattingly kind of came on the scene when I was about 10, 11 years old. Watching him played with grit, played with fire. And he took that to the coaching ranks and his managerial ranks as well. I would 100% sign on to have Don Mattingly coach the Philadelphia Phillies tonight. And my number 1 candidate, my number 1 choice, recently became available just this season. And why would it not be Bruce Bochy? 2,252 wins, 2,262 losses, a postseason win-loss of 57-37, 2010 world champion, 2012 world champion, 2014 world champion, and 2022 world champion. And he was also the NL Manager of the Year in 1996. If we're trying to win a World Series, if we're trying to have a manager come here and push us over the starting line or finish line, why would you not have one of the most successful World Series winning managers in the last 50 years to give it a shot? Now, again, old school pedigree, new school winning. I love it. It's married together, and it's the kind of guy that I'm looking for. Bruce Bochy was my number 1 overall top choice to be the new manager of the Philadelphia Phillies. And, of course, this exercise might be mute because the Phillies have apparently decided on bringing Rob Thompson back. So there you go. There's my number. There's my Rob Thompson. Should he stay or should he go? I think he should go. Apparently, I'm alone. Or apparently, the Phillies management doesn't agree with me. Even Ricky Deal wants him to get fired, man. Ricky's like the biggest Phillies fan I know. Robbie is a lame duck on his final year of his contract. Well, the next interim manager could be Waltham or Gotham, pitching coach or quality something, turn down bench coach, make already this team is in trouble. You're right, Papernick, because with bringing Rob Thompson back means you're bringing back Rob Thompson's lame duck, crazy ass coaching staff that nobody listens to. Another year of watching Dusty Waltham get ignored out on third base. Another year of blaming Kevin Long for this team's hitting problems. And I'm sort of split on that. I've said on this program that at the Major League Baseball level, if you don't know how to hit a baseball, then maybe you shouldn't be here. But I agree. There's a lot of residual effects to this crap, man. You also forgot Robbie is in the Canadian Wiffle Ball Hall of Fame. Oh, I meant baseball. Yes, he is, along with Matt Stairs. Yes. Papernick says Bochy, Dusty Baker, Don Mattingly, and Ozzie Guillen. Again, all very capable old school guys, and I think that's the flavor right now, right? If you had a poll, Phillies fans out there, I mean Phillies fans who are above the legal age to drink, they would all go to an old school type manager. And that's what this team needs. Now, we can look at Joe Girardi and say it didn't work with that type of manager, right? Because, forget, Kapler was that touchy-feely. Please, I don't need to hear the jokes of that. I get where, as I was saying the words, I realized what I was saying. But we had that type of manager in Gabe Kapler. Didn't work. We went to more of an old school guy in Girardi, and that obviously really didn't work. The players sort of like tuned him out after year 2. And we go to, a father figure. It's okay, Skipper. We'll get him tomorrow, pal. Don't worry about it. And Rob Thompson, and that has gotten us further than with Girardi, but not ultimately over the finish line. So reverting back to that old school type of manager seems realistic and seems like the next viable option, because there's not another option out there. I mean, there's not a hybrid, or maybe there is a hybrid. Maybe Bruce Bochy, with all his success in winning in the new school, has figured out to be the hybrid between the old and the new school. Don Mattingly, who has had success behind the bench, has also been able to sit down and watch it for the last 3 seasons from a assistant standpoint. And then, of course, Dusty Baker, again, a lot of success, just won the World Series in 2022. So maybe these guys have figured out you can't be fire and brimstone. You can't be dragons. You have to be hybrids. Don't forget the old school roots, but you also have to understand what you're dealing with these new school players. That's what I'm looking for. And I think as Papernick just laid out his list, he added Ozzie Guillen to his list. I'm only going with the top 3. I think Ozzie's been a little bit out of touch for a little longer than I kind of want him to be, but he's definitely there. Bochy, Baker, and Mattingly, those are the top 3, and I have them as well. So, I mean, I agree, and I'm concerned, man. I'm concerned for the ramifications, because at the end of the day, when you're on the baseball field, you're playing baseball. The manager never really gets involved in this stuff, and unless it's the postseason. That's when you need a good manager. You really do, and we saw that, and we've seen that over the last couple seasons. There's always been a moment you can point to in the postseason, and you're like, damn, Rob Thompson, Zach Wheeler in Game 6 in 2022, going back-to-back with Kimbrel in 23. The topsy-turvy bullpen in 2024, taking people out of the roles that they kind of had and turning the bullpen on its head. And then this year, batting Bohm 4th. Putting Duran in the 7th inning in Game 4, putting Kerkering in that situation in extra innings. I mean, the postseason's the postseason. There's good baseball teams playing in the postseason, and it's back and forth. And it's the manager that sometimes, and quite possibly that is the breaking point in postseason baseball, is a manager's decision. And Rob Thompson has proven in his tenure here in Philadelphia that whatever he does, whatever button he presses in the postseason is the wrong button. And it's year after year. I mean, he hasn't even pressed anything right. So that's the concern. 162 game regular season, I could manage a team. I have 162 opportunities to get it right consistently. But when you get into the postseason and you have a 5-game series, a 3-game series, a 7-game series, that's when you need a manager. That's when you need the guy to make the right decisions. And is Rob Thompson, can he do that? And he hasn't been able to prove that over his time here. These Phillies players all went doormat Robbie back. Well, doormat, whatever. I mean, I'm sure Rob Thompson's not getting run over down there. Listen, I know what the optics of it is, Papernick, but none of us are down in that clubhouse. None of us know what's going on. None of us understand the relationship between the players and the manager. I don't want to give him too much credit, right? But I don't think they're throwing spitballs at him in the corner of the room either, Ricky Deal says, I don't like the Phillies manager. He needs to get fired. I'm talking about Ricky. Ricky coming out with some fire tonight. Ricky's not playing anymore, man. He is not playing anymore. But stop your whining, Joe Hale. Here it is. All right. So the phone lines are now open. Stop asking me to open them. They're open. So if you want to chime in, you can. Just hit that link. You get popped in the backstage here area of the StreamYard little thing that I got going on. I just need to be able to talk to you. I don't have to see you, but I got to be able to communicate verbally with you. So make sure. So come on back and we can have some fun. For all Nick Castellanos' faults, he stood up to Robbie and got benched, and Nick questioned Robbie's moves. Yeah, that's a very good point. But Nick Castellanos was on borrowed time. You could have made a case of benching Nick Castellanos last season. And when I mean last season, 2024. So with all the time and effort that Rob Thompson spent on trying to get Nick Castellanos right, don't forget you played 162 games in 2024. Played the entire regular season. And only started hitting towards the end of that season. Had a terrible 3/4 of that season, but Rob Thompson stuck with him. So Nick Castellanos needs to probably be a little bit more gracious to Rob Thompson for allowing him to go through the paces in 2024 there, Papernick. And Nick, I'm not using Nick Castellanos as, the moral standard of the Phillies. That dude needs to go, man. He needs to go. Yes, they're open. God damn it. The bottom line is Robbie can't put what the button Robbie can't push is trying to manage outside of analytics. And that's absolutely a very good point. I cite those magical times in the postseasons, taking Wheeler out in game 6, it's funny. You boil down an entire series to one decision, in that Astros series, by taking Wheeler out. We don't talk about what happened in game 5, them getting no hit. We go right to game 6 and say Wheeler should have been left in. We boil the entire Diamondback series down to the decision to go with Kimbrel back-to-back nights in game 3 and 4, but not the fact that they blew a 3-2 lead at home. It's funny how you boil those things down, but every pitch, every play, everything matters in the postseason. So it's justified, Papernick. I agree. All right, let's do this. Joe Hale, what's going on, man?
How are you?
I'm doing well, Joe. How was your holiday weekend?
It was good. I went to the gym. I seen Ricky.
Oh, Ricky's at the gym?
He was at the gym with me.
Pumping iron?
No, basketball gym.
Okay.
I want to bring up something that Ruben Amaro said on the midday show today. Someone has to go. A star has to be traded. Right?
Yeah, I heard, I saw the clip.
Think I know who they're going to deal. I could see Bohm going, Castellanos, and I think Stott. But here's why I see Bohm going. Eden Miller is approaching faster than we think. Stott isn't there a shortstop?
What's that?
Isn't there another shortstop in the minors that people like?
Well, Aiden Miller. So Aiden Miller, when he was drafted as a third baseman, but they've been teaching him how to play shortstop since he's been in the organization. But this is before Trey Turner came on board, so I think they've sort of given up on that and they've moved Miller back to third base. As far as shortstop major league ready, no, there's nobody currently ready to be upped at this point. I think AAA. Don't press me on true. It's not a prospect. It's like a tweener. It's a journeyman guy that was in and out. I know Rodolfo Castro spent time playing shortstop for the Iron Pigs. Yeah, so there's nobody really that's projected within the system as shortstop right now.
I would love to go get Trevor Story.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Joe, and I saw that segment, but what I took from that segment was when he said star. Well, he didn't say star. He said contract.
No, he said star.
Well, what I heard him say contract, but what I took from that was Harper, Turner, Nola, Wheeler. That's what I took. I took that. I took offloading one of those contracts. That's how I took that.
So the Phillies had to free up money. I can see them getting rid of Nola. Now, say if Courage gets fired, right?
Say if who gets fired?
Pelletri.
Okay.
Would you bring Don Mattingly in for the bench coach?
That's whether Don Mattingly would want to do it. Yeah, of course I would. But Rob Thompson is in a, we already know what Rob is. Rob's very loyal to his people. Now, what conversation they had and what they've decided to do with the staff and all the X's and O's, maybe they'll reveal it on Thursday. They said they'll have a press conference Thursday, I believe. I don't know what they're going to do with the staff. There's always some changes to the staff, but the big three, the pitching coach, the hitting coach, and the bench coach, they're the ones you really pay attention to.
I read a report that the bench coach is being fired and the pitching coach could be fired.
Then, yeah, I would look at bringing Don Mattingly in as a bench coach. And I think he'd be, because you safeguard yourself much like you did with Thompson and Girardi.
I wouldn't mind hiring our LA's pitching coach, Mark Pryor.
Yeah. No, that would be it's interesting. All these pitchers from my youth are now pitching coaches. No, that wouldn't be. Listen, I've said this before. Kevin Long, Caleb Cotham, however you say the guy's weird name.
Compton.
The pitching with this team, I think they've done really well with the pitching. I mean, the transformation or the maturation of Chris Sanchez, bringing Suarez from a bullpen piece to a viable number 3 in your rotation when he stays healthy. These were all internal moves and internal development that he did with these kids. And you got to give him a lot of credit. And of course, with Nola and Wheeler being what they were, it kept them on top. And then the plug and play that we had to do at times with certain pitchers to bring here to get them to give us some sort of quality innings out of the starting rotation. My concerns are not necessarily those three coaches. The hitting coach, same thing with Kevin Long. I think we give Kevin Long a lot more responsibility to this than he really deserves. Yeah. I said it before. You're a Major League Baseball player. If you really need somebody to teach you how to hit, you probably shouldn't be here. So I'm not concerned necessarily about the coaching staff. It's the manager. It's the culture he brings. It's that, again, you get to the postseason, it all seems to boil down to a decision that Rob Thompson has made over the last 4 postseasons that has not worked. And that's what it comes down to with me.
A manager that nobody's saying, Bob Melvin would be perfect for Phillies.
Didn't he just get fired? No, he's currently in San Diego, isn't he? No, San Francisco?
He got fired, but they're saying Bochy doesn't want to coach. That's why he asked to be fired from Texas. I read a report on that.
Well, he's obviously the number one on. If he was going to stay, he would be the number one candidate on everybody's list to bring in.
Breaking news: San Diego's manager just quit.
Retires. Yeah, he retired. Yep.
And I'm going to give you some breaking news. I just heard it. Who do you think's taking the Angels job? And you're going to be shocked.
The Angels job?
Yes.
That's right. Ron Washington got fired too.
The machine.
Oh, Gabe Kapler.
No.
Who?
The machine. Albert Pujols wants it.
Did they give it to him?
He's interviewing this week.
Nah, he's not going to get that job. They may bring him on the coaching staff. They're not going to make him a manager right off the bat. There's no way.
You don't?
Nah. You gotta earn your stripes a little bit, man. He's a Hall of Fame player. Become the manager in Double-A or Single-A. Mike Schmidt became a manager in Single-A for a minute before he quit because it was too hard. The
Giants going back to the old roots as manager, Dusty Baker.
I think Dusty will find a job this year. I 100% think Dusty's coming back with somebody this year.
But the betting scheme scares everybody away from him.
Yeah, I know. But he's a good manager, and he knows how to win, and he's that old school approach and he has proven to be able to win in the new school. Dusty would be on my list. I know Dusty interviewed when we fired Kapler. I know Dusty interviewed, Girardi interviewed, and I think it was Joe Madden who he interviewed as well. Mike Scioscia was also the one who interviewed. Yeah, so
he would be good.
Yeah, has he been out of the game too long though? Has the game passed him by a little bit?
Yeah.
Same thing with Ozzie Guillen. I think the game might have passed him by a little bit.
I don't like Ozzie. I want to bring the Eagles' point.
Kaepernick doesn't want Melvin.
Darius Smith retiring all of a sudden.
Yep, I saw that.
Do you want to know why?
No, sure, absolutely. Why did he retire?
He got cut before the Eagles signed him. Personal reasons. He couldn't do it anymore. It wasn't. Everybody's saying it was cancer in the locker room. It wasn't cancer in the locker room.
So he decided to retire. What do you mean he got cut before the Eagles signed him?
So the Eagles signed him off to Detroit because Detroit cut him.
Mm-hmm.
And now the Eagles signed him, and the Eagles cut him because he went in Fangio's office today saying he was going to retire.
Okay.
I know.
So you're saying he got right. The Lions cut him. The Eagles signed him. So were the Eagles about to cut him, and he went in and retired first?
No, he don't want to do it anymore.
Okay, so he just I mean, I thought it was something like that.
So,
which of course leaves a hole with the defensive. We just got thinner out there on the line. So it's gonna be interesting to see the Eagles as they go forward here.
Your defensive lineman now, ready? Gerard Campbell.
I don't know if they can put him on the line. They can leave him on the edge. They may move him off linebacker and keep him at the edge, but they can't put him on the line. He's going to get destroyed on the line.
Put him at the edge.
Well, yeah, they'll probably take away the linebacker responsibilities, especially if Nakobe Dean is more ready to sort of get more responsibility and get more playing time. Then they can move Campbell down to the edge. But that's what I think ultimately they want to do anyway, but they couldn't because Dean was hurt. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and Seattle Miners look really good.
They do. I still think it's going to be Toronto and what did I say? Toronto and the Dodgers, and the Dodgers will win.
Dodgers just won.
Dodgers are winning the World Series, man. They're going to repeat.
Nah.
You heard it here, Joe. This is Joe. We got to move on. I got some things more I got to do. So thank you again for tuning in, Joe. Tomorrow night, the phone lines will be open again. Keep me honest. Keeping me honest, man. To open up them phone lines. So we'll talk tomorrow, right, Joe?
Yep.
All right. Joe Hale. Love Joe Hale. Love me some Joe Hale. All right. It's hey, Ricky, how are you tonight?
I'm good.
Joe Hale says he saw you playing basketball today at the gym. Is that true?
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff, Ricky. All right, Ricky. Rob Thompson is going to stay, apparently. You've been saying in the chat he should be fired. Is that how you feel?
Mm-hmm.
Rob Thompson should be fired?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Ricky, I'm concerned, man. I really am. I really don't know what this signals, what this means for the offseason plans of the team, because I want to believe that, first of all, I want to believe that there's no way that Dombrowski and Middleton can make this team run this thing back again. And how are we as Phillies fans supposed to take that we're going to run this thing back again? That's my main concern, Ricky, is that Rob Thompson means we're running it back again.
Not at all.
I hope you're right, Ricky. I really do. But all right, Ricky, we're getting late into the show. I got to get some more things done. But please, tomorrow night and every other night, Ricky, you better be calling in, okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right, Ricky Deal, good night. All right, Ricky. Come on, man. Joe and Ricky every night chime in. And I love it. Let's go, Peppernick. You get your butt on here. I need some more people to call in. Phone lines are open, man. It's open to everybody. Come on in. If the Padres manager was let go, I would believe Bruce Bochy would want to go back to San Diego. He retired. And, well, listen, I don't know if you want to go back to San Diego. I mean, that's the only place he hasn't really been successful, right? The only place he hasn't won a World Series. So, yeah, maybe he does. Mike Sosa or Ozzie Guillen might have been out of the game as manager for X amount of time. Years they can still manage the bumbling fall. Oh, well, listen, We're not, that's not what the question here is. It's not who can outmanage Rob Thompson, but who can deliver a World Series there, Peppernick. That's kind of where I kind of fall in on this. I'm not saying that Mike Scioscia and Ozzie Guillen couldn't do it, but there's more. There's guys currently in the game right now that still fit that mold of the Scioscia Guillen era, but have been in the game and seeing as it's evolving and it's re-evolving and de-evolving, have dealt with the changes brought on by the pitch clock, have dealt with the changes with all this other stuff that we're incorporating, ABS starting next year, all those nuances, and not to mention the spoiled brat baseball players. And again, I'm not telling you they couldn't, but to me right now, there's more like in your face kind of guys that you're seeing every day that you would want to give a shot. And if they came up and said Ozzie Guillen was the new manager of the Phillies, I'd be fine with it. Mike Scioscia was the new manager. Yeah, I'd be fine with it. The only person who I would not be fine with right now would probably be if they told me Gabe Kapler was coming back, or if Terry Francona was coming back. I don't want him back. But no, I want to be clear about that. I'm not against it. Not at all. Ricky is the magic man. He is. Phillies need to hire a new manager. No, they don't. Apparently they don't, Ricky. They don't. Rob Thompson, by all accounts, by every reputable sports news outlet out there, with the exception of the Phillies themselves, have said Rob Thompson is coming back. Now, the only people that I haven't seen say it are the people that Rob Thompson is employed by. They have not mentioned it yet. But there's allegedly a press conference coming Thursday to where Dave Dombrowski and Rob Thompson will sit there and lie for an hour and a half. So it's all the indications that Rob Thompson is coming back. But here on this program, is Joe Hale's reporting the Bears are about to upset the Bills. Wow. Ozzie Guillen press conference would be classic. It would be. Would he do it in Spanish or English or both? But here on this show, we've begun our newest segment, the Phillies offseason, who stays, who goes, and why. And tonight we kicked it off with the manager, Rob Thompson. We talked about his record. We talked about his personality. We talked about the direction this team has failed to have gone under his tutelage in the postseason. And then we brought up three very capable candidates to replace him with: Don Mattingly, Bruce Bochy, and Dusty Baker. And of course, these are all my opinions, by the way. It's, unsolicited opinions from me here, not representing anybody else on the network but me. Tomorrow, we will move into the infield. Tomorrow, we talk about first base. That's right. First base. Should Harper stay? Should Harper go? Why? And who would you want to bring in behind him if we decided to move off? And this is when the discussion tomorrow is going to get really fun, because Harper and first base is a twofer, a 2-for-1. And of course, this is all about MattyB's 2026 Phillies offseason plan. Essentially, if I was running the show, this is what I'd be doing as the owner, GM, whatever. This is the lineup that I would want to concoct, and the team that I'd want to throw out there on the field on March 26th against the Texas Rangers at Citizen Bank Park. And at the end of all this, I will actually put up on the screen my lineup, my 1 through 9, all my position players, my starting 5, my bullpen, my bench, all of it, as you will get a sneak peek of what MattyB thinks the 2026 Phillies should look like. It's already done. It's done, sealed, and delivered before the offseason officially begins. I'm that good. So be on the lookout for that. Middleton needs to grow a set and be George Steinbrenner of the South, as he said, and fire the dummy Dombrowski and bring someone with a brain that trusts the team. Another name that completely, and that's a good point, and I want to make sure we don't forget about Dave Dombrowski. I want to make sure that we give him his proper credit here. Yes, you can be critical of Rob Thompson 100%, and he's not going to get any safe space here. I give you that, Peppernick. And I've never been overly on board with Rob Thompson at all. You know that. we can be all absolutely overly critical on the players, because at the end of the day, they're the ones that need to perform. But the one person that constantly seems to slip in and out of the net here is the man that brought them here, Dave Dombrowski. You know, Schwarber was signed by Dombrowski. Turner was signed by Dombrowski. The big contracts to Nola and Wheeler were given to by Dombrowski. The trading of all of our catching prospects have been done by Dombrowski. The decision to let Brandon Marsh come here was Dombrowski. Dombrowski. It's all over this team. Ultimately, things don't work out. Where is the accountability of Dave Dombrowski? Where does he kind of fall into all this? And as we enter into 2026, and unfortunately, we have to wait about 4 months to talk about this because we have a whole offseason to go. We're not even done with the postseason yet. But does Dave Dombrowski enter the season square foot peg seating strapped down on that hot seat? Does he? Does he have one more year left to prove that he can win a World Series? And if we're talking this same type of situation at this point next year, are we talking about firing both Rob Thompson and Dave Dombrowski and blowing this thing completely up? I have a feeling we're going to be sent down that road. I really, really do. But that have to wait till next year. But Dombrowski needs to be held accountable for some of the stuff that's happened. A lot of the stuff that's happened. God damn it. So, but tomorrow night we'll talk more about this as we continue on with the Phillies offseason segment. First base and Mr. Bryce Harper are now squared in my crosshairs. So I can't wait for that. Let's move on now to the of the night. Yes, sir. This is the other night segment. You guys can read. I'm not going to tell you what we do for this, but it's in short. We go over a Phillies prospect, the Flyers prospect, the Flyers draft target, a Phillies draft target. We spotlight a Phillies player or a Flyers player, depending on what season is, if it's applicable. Right now, there's no spotlighting to be done. We've already done the Flyers, and we won't spotlight Phillies players until about February or about January. So we're now squarely, and we're not talking MLB draft or NHL draft until January for hockey and maybe March for baseball. So I'm going to probably push that out this year to March. So it's now Flyers prospects are 100% our focus here on the of the night segment. Let's go talk about our Flyer prospect of the night. Another one of our draft choices from 2025, and that is Mr. Nathan Quinn, the 5'11". I'm just getting ahead of myself because the guy we're doing tomorrow night is over 6'3". 5'11", 176-pound centerman for the Quebec Remparts of the Western Hockey League. He was drafted in the 6th round in the 2025 draft by the Flyers. A net driver, Quinn creates space in the slot with his body, taking the inside lane to the goalie to catch passes and fire. He can pass the puck off the boards and spot teammates in space across the ice and behind him, relaying them the puck and expand the attack and generate higher quality looks. A player that, of course, is so early in his development, just turned 18 back in July. Definitely needs to put a little bit of meat on that frame and grow about 3 inches maybe in order to be a viable NHL threat or prospect, I guess. But he definitely has a, the modern centerman thing going on. He's a driver. He drives the net to get inside the, to be on the porch there to clean up some rebounds. I don't know if he could survive in the NHL at 5'11" and 176 pounds, but he's only a kid and early on in his Flyer career. So Nathan Quinn of the Quebec Remparts, the 6th round pick of the Flyers in this past year's draft. And so far for the Remparts through 9 games this season, he's got 5 goals, 4 assists, 9 points, and a 0 for plus minus. So as the Remparts are season's just begun as well. So Nathan Quinn is your Flyer prospect of the night. And that segment was brought to you by the Clear the Ice Show, our Flyers post game here on the network. Every Flyer post game, you'll join one of these three individuals for it. Tonight, Pat had it. On Thursday night, Mike will take you for the Jets, and I will have you for the Minnesota Wild. So make sure if you're into the Flyers, then you need to be into Clear the Ice. Every Flyers post game here on the It's O Rap Sports Network. And yes, sir, Bob. Bears help the Eagles. Eagles need to help the Eagles, Joe Hale, and that's a perfect segue as let's get into our second to last final segment of the night. Did I just double oxymoron that or double negative that? Our second to last? No, I guess that's not an oxymoron. Anyway, I wasn't good in school. Thank you, Peppernick. Always appreciate your contributions. You need to start calling in, man. I want to hear your voice. Eagles are getting ready for their very critical Week 7 matchup between the Minnesota Vikings. And as we talked about with Joe Hale, Darius Smith announced his retirement, which makes the Eagles a little bit more thinner on the line. Yes, there's some, the overall expectation of Jihad Campbell was, I think, for him to be an edge rusher. But with the injuries to Nakobe Dean, that had to be put on the back burner. But now that Dean is working his way back into the lineup, you could possibly start flexing Jihad Campbell back onto the line. But is that what we got? I mean, is Nakobe Dean showing up? Is that going to save the defensive line? One of the only positives through the first 6 weeks of this season, or I should say through the first 4 weeks of this season, was the play of the defense. They had literally, in my opinion, picked up where they left off in 2024. They were opportunistic. They weren't getting many sacks, and that was, I think, caused a lot by the amount of veterans they lost. And they're waiting for some younger players to develop, and they're still waiting for those younger players to develop, and they may eventually develop, but they were opportunistic. Turnovers, forcing 3-and-outs when they had to, forcing turnovers when they had to. They were ball hawking, gang tackling, staying in their lanes, basically bailing out the offense through the first 4 weeks. Now we're singing a different tune since week 4. 2 clunkers, one against the Broncos and a terrible game against the Giants. The defense now has been called into question and put on the carpet just like the offense is. And with the offense still not being able to figure out, and this just gets me every time I hear it from the homers, the offense is still trying to find their identity. They're the Super Bowl champions. What the hell are you talking about? That's their identity. They're the Super Bowl champions. So I don't know what you're looking for from a team that won the Super Bowl last year if you're trying to reestablish an identity with them. But the offense still is trying to find their identity, get out of neutral, find the secret sauce, not done building the cross yet for Kevin Padula, however you want to get yourself to sleep at night, it's fine by me. But now that the defense has begun to falter, and there's a varied reasons why that faltering has begun, and I think it all stems with a lot of time on the field. They have spent an ordinary amount of time playing football through 6 weeks. And with that comes certain situations. You increase the chance of getting hurt the more you play. And now we're dealing with injuries all on the defense. They're gassed. They're tired. The crisp gang tackling through week 1 through 4 has now turned into shoulder tackles of running backs and getting bounced off of like pinballs. No more turnovers. Last 2 games, the Eagles have forced a grand total of 0 turnovers and losses to the Giants and to the Broncos. And yes, for those of you that are still grounded in reality about the Philadelphia Eagles, if you go back to last season and the miraculous run to the Super Bowl, which began kind of like in week 9, the 2 main cogs that drove that machine to the Super Bowl were the play of Saquon Barkley on the offense and the opportunistic defense kind of rounding into form and forcing a extremely large amount of turnovers from the week 9 all the way through the Super Bowl. Now, finally, and I've said it over and over again, I every week the teams go up against the Eagles and they battle their asses off against them. At the end of the game or in a key moment of the game, that team usually commits a turnover. And the Eagles have been very good at that. And yes, lucky at that as well. But over the last 2 games, No turnovers forced by the defense. And is it sort of a coincidence that both those games were losses? I say no. So the defense now has begun to falter. The offense still has not found their rhythm or found their identity, and whatever the hell that means. And now we're up against, on the road, second week in a row, against the Minnesota Vikings, Carson Wentz, which I don't buy into the revenge game thing. What the hell has Carson Wentz got to be mad about the Eagles with? I mean, they gave him every opportunity to figure out what was going on, and it didn't work. But yes, Carson Wentz is going to look at this as an opportunity to stick his former employers. You know, I would too. If you casted me off, you said I wasn't any good. Now I have an opportunity to stick it up your ass, and I'm going to. And I'm going to try to. And they're going to be playing against a team offensively in the Vikings that features, of course, the man that should have been an Eagle. As we sort of navigate through the A.J. Brown drama yet again, don't forget, you know, Justin Jefferson getting drafted by the Eagles. Does A.J. Brown even come here? Does A.J. Brown, would you be okay with a Justin Jefferson, Devontae Smith tandem at wide receiver versus an A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith tandem? I think that's a very good point and a very good question. So, of course, the ramifications of your great GM not drafting Justin Jefferson and also opening the door, I guess, for A.J. Brown to come here has created all this. But now the Eagles will go up against Justin Jefferson with a secondary that's very questionable right now. Keely Ringo, you know, obviously if Quinyon Mitchell cannot go, and I haven't heard any updates about his hamstring thing, but if he can't go, you got no choice but to put Cooper DeJean on Justin Jefferson. Cooper's got to come out of the slot. He's got to play up. He's got to. There's just no other way. You cannot trust Keely Ringo, Epps, anybody else that you might throw out there against Adoree Jackson, whoever. You cannot trust them. You're going to have to put DeJean on them. You have no choice. And how will that, what are the ramifications for the rest of the Eagles secondary? So if the Eagles lose this game and go to 4-3, they have one more game remaining to the bye, which will be at home against the Giants. Maybe that's the game. Maybe this is the game against the Vikings, that the homers out there will start to admit that there's a problem with this football team. And it's not Kevin Padula. Perhaps it's the actual players. So we got that to come up. And we'll definitely get into more of the Eagles talk as the week progresses. And, of course, Thursday night, Kyle will join me for the Birds Blast, and we'll break it completely down. Is the Steelers pregame and postgame on this coming Thursday? It is. So the Steelers are on Thursday night. So I think their pregame is going to start at about 4:45 on Thursday, and then their postgame will come right after the game. That's what I think it's set up for. I'm pretty sure it is. I did it, so I'm sure that's what it was. And obviously, we'll get more deeper into the Eagles conversation as we get through the week. But yes, the Eagles are officially back at it today, or they were. I don't know if they were. Typically, by the NFL calendar, they should be there today. But we'll get ready for the Vikings as we move through the week. So let's finish up strong tonight, shall we, folks, with my favorite segment of all time. That's right. MattyB's card review tonight here on the program. We're obviously stuck in baseball. We're staying in baseball. I don't know if we'll ever come out. Like 10,000 baseball cards, man. But we're going back in time a little bit. We're going to come off of we've been in the 2000s for a minute. We're going back to that vaunted 1987 top set. One of the most recognizable and widely spread and distributed baseball card sets known to mankind, which is the 87 tops. Of course, the iconic wood grain or wood paddling border on the baseball card. It stands out like a sore thumb. Topps has never done anything like that since, or anybody else has ever done anything like that since. Definitely as a young man, the Topps 87 set was the first set I ever finished collecting from start to finish. Back then, your baseball cards were valued mainly by the completed sets. We've, of course, navigated away from that now with all the parallels and refractors and inserts and, color blasts and all that. But back then, it was all about collecting sets, and the 87 Topps baseball set was my first ever completed set that I saw from the very beginning to the very end, buying cards from my local corner store. Finding change in the couch cushions, and spent an entire summer amassing the entire set. And it had some decent cards. Bo Jackson rookie, the Mark McGuire, Jose Canseco, Barry Bonds rookies. They're all part of that of that set. Mitch Williams' rookie card is in that set as well. So there's definitely a few good younger baseball cards in that set. But the more tonight's card is about a player who was well established in Major League Baseball by 1987. Matter of fact, he had been pitching in the league for going on, I think, 15 years by that point. And he is known as possibly the greatest right-handed pitcher of all time. And I don't think that there's much of an argument from me about that. Obviously, we had the greatest left-hander in Steve Carlton. And this guy and Steve Carlton would duel night after night, season after season, chasing each other in the strikeout race. It's iconic. That's all I can say about this man. And of course, I'm speaking of Nolan Ryan. And tonight's card, the 87 Topps Nolan Ryan baseball card. What can I say about Nolan Ryan? Played in Major League Baseball from 1966 to 1993. I mean, are you kidding me? 4 decades, or 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 4 decades. A final 324, 292 record with a 3.19 ERA, and finished his career with over 5,700 strikeouts. He was an all-star 8 times in his career. He was a world champion in 1969. He was the 2-time NL ERA leader, an 11-time strikeout leader. The Angels have retired his number. The Astros have retired his number. The Rangers have retired his number. He was elected to the Angels Hall of Fame, the Astros Hall of Fame, the Rangers Hall of Fame, and he's part of Major League Baseball's all 20th century team. And of course, a first ballot 1999 inductee to the Baseball Hall of Fame, receiving 98.8% of the vote. Who did not vote for Nolan Ryan on his first ballot? I'd like to meet that person. And tonight we're talking about his card. Again, there's nothing special about this card other than the nostalgic value of the wood grain paneling, the old school Astro logo, and them cool Astro spring training unis. You guys remember the Astros of the 80s, which was really fun. They were the only team in Major League Baseball that wore white. They wore their home white uniforms on the road, and they wore their colored uniforms at home. Now, their white uniforms I thought were really cool. You know, it was the all white with the Astros written across the front. I love their old school Astro baseball hat. We've done this when we went over the best uniforms. The Astros uniforms of the 80s are on there for me. The home uniforms were not pretty. They were a orange, yellow, kind of half the jerseys was that color. The rest of it was white. Astros written across the front. They were ugly home jerseys. But the fact that they were white on the road, I always loved. And it was, I don't know why Major League Baseball allowed it, because you'd have 2 teams on the field wearing white uniforms, but whatever, they did. And of course, this is the old school Astro logo, backed around the wood grain paneling of the 87 Topps card. And this picture was taken, I would imagine, at some point in spring training of 1987. But this card is actually pretty damn valuable too. A PSA 10 card is valued at around $200 right now. And this card is all over the place. You can sell this card as I said, PSA 10 for $200, PSA 9 for $150, PSA 8s all over the place. Raw cards anywhere between $10 and $25. A very iconic baseball card that means absolutely nothing. This is not his rookie card. This is nothing but a card of Nolan Ryan with the under the 87 Topps wood grain paneling border. But it is a very valuable card because, of course, it's the greatest right-hand pitcher of all time in Nolan Ryan. And both nostalgically conjures up great memories and feelings. And, of course, financially, it's more valuable than you would think. So it makes it a must-have in my collection and must-have in your collection if you're asking me. So there you go, the 87 Nolan Ryan Topps. And here you go. Here it is in its physical form. Again, the wood grain paneling. I'm going to turn that around. And there's look at how many years he was in baseball by this point. Good God, man. But there you have it. Nolan Ryan's 87 Topps our card of the night. A nostalgic must-have card for me, and with a sneaky, decent financial value. So there you have it. Nolan Ryan, our card of the night. And that's going to take me to the end of another great show. Thank you guys for tuning in. We debuted the offseason segment for the Phillies, talked about the manager. Of course, the Phillies beat me to it. Rob Thompson, reportedly being retained as the Phillies manager in 2026. What does that mean for the Phillies offseason plans? Joe Hale also mentioned the Ruben Amaro piece there today, where he mentioned that a contract, he would not be surprised, Ruben said, that one of the big contracts will get moved this offseason. So that could be a whole other type of story that we can follow. Who would that be? Who could that be? Joe mentions Aaron Nola as his candidate. I would be actually kind of on board with that too. And I'd be on board with Bryce Harper, who will by coincidence that we're going to talk first base tomorrow. We did manager today. We're going to go first base. Who stays, who goes, and why. And we're going to break down Bryce Harper and his potential future here in the Phillies, and who I'd want to replace Bryce Harper if the Phillies decided to move off of him. So all that will happen tomorrow. Of course, our Day in Philadelphia Sports History, our Of the Night segment, and our card review will follow it as well. So until we talk again tomorrow night, you guys, and I think tomorrow is it for me, right? Tomorrow is tomorrow is me. I'm the only one on the network. I'm flying solo on the It's a Wrap Sports Network tomorrow. So make sure you're here at 10 o'clock for the program. And until then, you guys have a great rest of your night. For those of you that are starting your work week tomorrow, have a great day at work. For those of you that are off tomorrow, well, keep having the day off. We'll talk tomorrow. You guys have a great day.